All right, we are in 9 Lit. This is Wednesday, and we are on page, in this particular class, we're on page 297. Some of the classes are a page or two ahead, but we are looking at the Friar's Tale. And the Friar, anybody remind me who the tale is about? David, can you tell me? A summoner. They don't like each other. So the friar is telling a story about a bad summoner in order to make all summoners look bad. Yes.
And, I don't have one of those friar papers.
Friar paper. Did you have one yesterday when we did this?
No.
So what do we know about the summoner? The summoner's a con man. The friar's a con man. They're both very much alike. They're immoral men, and they're cheating the church. They're hurting other people by conning them out of money. So they're very much alike. Particularly the summoner. Of course, he looks really bad. Remember, he has spies, women who are probably prostitutes. How does he make his money? I mean, he gets paid by the church, but that's not enough. You can't live off that. You got to make some extra money on the side. So, how does he do that? Yes, read.
He blackmail people and said that he would take care of their crimes, or like not tell the archdeacon if they.
So it's like gossip. If you know bad stuff about somebody, you have some power over them. You can either let people know what you know, and that makes, somehow that hurts them, or you can say, I don't know how you would, hopefully we're not blackmailing people here, but I believe that happens. But that's how he makes his money. And so he has met this guy who he thinks is a yeoman, but he claims he's well, what do they have in common? What does he and the guy have in common that he meets? This yeoman on the side. Our summoner is going to cheat a widow, and he meets this yeoman. And what does he and the yeoman have in common? Yes.
They both claim to be bailiffs.
And what is a bailiff?
They're like someone who assisted in court.
Right. Yeah, they are officials of the court, either probably royal court in this case, and they do things like they take messages and they deliver summonses and so forth. They are officials. And so they are talking together, and why don't we, I don't know where we will, would you start top of page 297? Well, I see who's speaking. This is the yeoman, this is the other guy talking, and he's giving out clues as to who he really is. And when you find out who he is, it becomes all very ironic that he's talking about, why don't you come and visit me? And they call each other brothers. These are ironic things when you find out later who he is. So Will.
Was it well at great level?
That's a good place. Yeah.
Well at great level, brother. Just about. I'll tell you a truthful story. All in all, my wages are extremely tight and small. My master's hard on me and difficult. My job laborious with poor results, and so it's by extortion that I live. I take whatever anyone will give. At any rate, by tricks and violences, from year to year I cover my expenses. I can't say better, speaking truthfully. The summoner said, it's just the same with me. I'm ready to take anything, God what? Unless it is too heavy or too hot. What I can get out of a little chat in private. Why would conscience boggle me at that? With extortion, how could I make a living? My little jokes are hardly worth forgiving. Bowls of pity, conscience I have none. Plague on these penance, Father, to everyone. We make a pair by God and by St. James. But brother, what do you say to swapping names?
I don't get that part, but what have they agreed to do? They shook hands on it. What have they agreed to do?
Be brothers.
Be brothers. He says that without extortion, what is extortion? It's kind of a little, this is interesting. We're talking about robbery and extortion in literature class. What is extortion? You got to know what that means. It's what he's doing. So what does he do to make money? We didn't say extortion. What did we use? It's the same thing. It's essentially, maybe blackmail is a form of extortion where you force people, you don't put a gun to somebody's head and say, give me money, that's something else, that's robbery or armed robbery. But extortion is when you do apply pressure, you force somebody to give you money, maybe you threaten them. You don't actually hurt them, but you threaten them. Anyway, that's what he does to me. It's another word for, and he notice he says he has no conscience. When we study in Ryan in the B class, she is somewhat familiar with Dante's Inferno, and I've told you the pit of hell in Dante's Inferno is solid ice, kind of the opposite of what you would expect. You would expect it to be the hottest place in hell, but it's the coldest place in hell. Have any idea what that symbolizes? What does cold symbolize? Like somebody gives you the cold shoulder, or you call some, unfortunately it's usually a girl, the ice princess, or what are you saying about that person? Did you get a warm reception? No, she was pretty cold. What are you saying? When you talk about somebody's personality being that way, what do you mean? Of course you know what they mean.
Like not a good person, like a cold-blooded killer.
They have no heart. It's like a corpse. You know, if you had no heart, you'd be dead, right? So being cold is like you just have no sympathy, no kindness, nothing warm about you. You turn people off. Well, that's what hell's like. It's the ultimate cold shoulder, because people in hell, they showed no sympathy. They showed no love for anybody, except maybe themselves. And so that's where this guy lives. He lives up north where you assume it's really cold. Well, now we're going to find out who it is. So, Megan, you're going to read about who this guy really is. If you don't know by now, you'll find out. The Sumner pause.
The summer paused, the owner all the while. The summer spoke, had worn a little smile. Brother, he answered, as you have me tell. I am a thief, as no one is now. I ride on business and have no thought of nothing. I give you anything that I am given. That is the sum of all my revenue. You seem to have the same objective too. You're out for love, acquiring no matter how, and so with me I'll go riding now, as far as the world's end is secret.
So who is it? Ian, who is it? Well, read it. It tells you right there. Well, we know that, but that's not who he really is. Who is he really? It's right, I'm looking right at it. She just read it. Gracie, help him out. I need you to tell me who he is. And everybody, don't look at Ian. It's not just his responsibility. Tell me who he is. Read it. You what? I couldn't hear you. No? Read it.
The devil
Where did you read it to them? They just couldn't find it for some reason.
said, I am a fiend, my dwelling is in hell.
He's a devil. He's a demon. All right, so please keep up. Please, that's your job to be reading along and know exactly where we are. So that puts all this other stuff in perspective. When he's been calling him brother, what is the summoner essentially doing? I can't hear you. Yeah, and somebody else put it yesterday. You ever read these stories, seen books, things where somebody sells their soul to the devil? That's essentially what he did. What does that mean? How do you sell your soul to the devil? I don't know anybody's ever done that.
There's like a movie called Brother Where Art Thou, and the guy sold his soul to the devil, and he heard music or whatever.
Now, I've never seen that movie. I've heard about it. I've seen clips of it. I've heard some of the music. I have never seen it from beginning to end. Is it good?
Yeah.
It's kind of unusual, I know, but I didn't know that. Now I have another reason to watch it. Anyway, he sells his soul to the devil. Is he worried about it? No. Let's keep reading. Read. Make sure you're paying attention, because you could be next. I could call on you.
Lord said to Summoner, "What did I hear you say? I thought you were young, and certainly you have the body of a man like me. And have you then another shape as well, appointed for your highest state of time?" Second time.
Please, one more.
"No," he replied, "for hell admits of none. But when we like, we can appropriate, or rather make you think we have a shape. Sometimes it's like a man, sometimes even an angel ride into bliss. There's nothing very wonderful in this. A lousy conjurer can trick your eye, and he, God knows, has far less power than I."
So the summoner, and we are at question number 8. The summoner says, "Well, you look like a man to me if you're a fiend from hell. Tell me about, do you have a body in hell?" And what's his answer? It's yes or no. Does he have a body in hell?
No.
He answers it no, N-O. Simple, 298. Says, no, we don't. But they can appropriate bodies. So they can sort of take the shape of a man or an animal or something. Jesus ran into people possessed by the devil. I guess that would be a great image of it. Is if the devil is in you, then he's running the show. So he's going to now talk. They're now going to talk about what demons do and who demons are. Do you know anything about demons? Do you know anything about them? Where are they from? Originally, where are they from? Heaven. Well, how's that possible?
Didn't a third of them follow Satan?
Yeah, because they rebelled against God. So you could call devils what, or demons what? What's another word you could call them? You could call them angels, because they are angels. They're just the bad angels. And I like the fact that you pointed out there are more angels than there are devils. There are twice as many angels as there are devils. So that should make you feel better. Yeah.
Didn't the Israelites think that like the other gods, like the idols, whatever, were demons? Like Beelzebub and
I think you're right. I think they were. And so we know something about demons. We don't want to mess with them, but we shouldn't be afraid of them, because did you know that in the Bible, I can think of 2 places where there's a lot of demon activity. One was Elijah and Elisha, but the other is with Jesus. It's like they came out of the woodwork when Jesus was around. You notice how many times, if you read the Gospels, every time he heals people, there's somebody with a demon in them. Can you imagine? I've never known anybody like that. And yet when Jesus was around, man, they just came, they were out to get him, but they were always afraid of him. He wasn't afraid of them. They begged him. They knew who he was. The demons are smarter than a lot of people we know. Some of the people, they don't know who Jesus is. I mean, they think he was a teacher or just a man. The demons had no problem. They said, "You're the Son of God." It took Peter like half the book of Matthew to figure out he was the Son of God. The demons knew exactly who he was. So he's going to talk about demons, and Yuritsa's, and I think this is interesting. Well, listen to what she's got to say.
Well, why pursue the summoner? Try to gain in million shapes. Why don't you stay the same? Just to appear, he said, in such a way as will enable us to snatch our prey. But why do you have to go to all this weather? For very many reasons, my dear brother. You shall know all about it in good time. The day is short and it's long past prime, and yet I'm taking nothing the whole day. And I must think of business, if I may, rather than air my intellectual gift. Besides, you lack the brains to catch my drift. If I explained, you wouldn't understand. Yet since you ask why we're busy band, it's thus. At times we are God's instruments, a means of forwarding divine events, when he so pleases that concern his creatures. By various arts, disguised by various features, we have no power without him. That's a fact. If it should please that we may not grieve the soul. Take Job is a case in point. At other times the two are not disjoined. That is to say, the body and the soul. Sometimes we are allowed to take control over a man and put his soul to test, but not his body. All is for the best. For every time a man withstands temptation, it is a partial cause of his salvation. Though our intention is, when we beset him, not that he should be saved, but we should get him. At times we slave for men without complaint, as on Archbishop Dunstan now is saying, why I was a servant to the fossil ones.
And while we're on this subject, why don't, Rachel, would you pick it up there and read the next couple, at least the next one, and then we can answer the next question.
Tell me, the summoner said, I'm just a dunce. But do you make new bodies as you go out of the elements? The fiend said, no, we just create illusions or we raise a corpse and lose it. There are many ways, and we can talk trippingly and well as to the witch of Endor, Samuel. And yet some people say it wasn't he. I have no use for your theology.
All right, so let's look at questions number 8, 9, and 10. So what do we learn about the devils taking various shapes? In their natural habitat, they are invisible. So they don't have bodies. So in order for you to see a devil, the devil would have to take a shape. And what were you going to say, Ian?
I was just gonna say, it can like take the shape of like a man or an animal.
Yeah, it can be an illusion. I don't believe in ghosts. Do you believe in ghosts? I don't believe in ghosts. I believe when somebody dies, they go to heaven or hell, and they're not free to wander between the two places. So people, to me, who've seen ghosts, you know who I think those are? I didn't come up with them. I think they're demons. They're not ghosts, they're demons. So I think that they're illusions in a way. People see things that other people don't see. So that would be one thing they do. It also says they could raise a corpse and use it. That's what, if there were zombies, they would be demons. There are no zombies, but if there were, and apparently, and I think it's possible, I guess that could really happen. But the thing that always, it's almost laughable to think about the zombie phenomenon, because that's never going to happen. And if it did, if you were a believer, they would turn around and go backwards because they're afraid of you too. So that whole thing is just having to shoot them. It's just kind of absurd. Just one word of Christ, they would be moving in the opposite because they're afraid to death of Jesus because he has the power over them. So those are some things it tells us about, Job. What does Job have to do with it? It says, take Job in this case. He gave us leave to hurt the body, though we may not grieve the soul. What do demons have to do with Job? Yes.
Because God allowed the demons to take everything from him, but not injure his health or injure him.
And remember, Satan himself had to ask permission of God to do that. And God said, yes, what you just said, Reese, that you can't touch his heart, you can touch his body and his things, but you can't kill him. So God was calling the shots and all of that, even to Satan himself. And does anybody know who the witch of Endor is? That's number 10. We skipped 9. We'll come back to that. Do you know who the witch of Endor is? In the book of Samuel? Saul. You know who Saul is? The Old Testament. He's about to fight his last battle before he died. And he had outlawed all witches from Israel. But he wanted to see one. He was a big hypocrite. So he finds a witch, the witch of Endor, and he says, raise up Samuel for me. Because I know how to talk to Samuel. Samuel was the prophet, the priest who had anointed him. And so while they're talking, here comes Samuel. And a lot of people think, they don't know. It's hard to know exactly how that happened, what was going on there. But Samuel was being used by God to say, Saul, this is it. You're finished. That's what Samuel. But some people think that, and I like this idea, when we go to heaven, before we get our bodies back. We'll have bodies. We'll have heavenly bodies. Our soul was not meant to be without a body. We're not angels. Angels don't need bodies, but we do. We were meant for a body, and the body's a good thing. It's just it became sin. It became corrupt through sin. But some people don't know what that is. But anyway, it is in the Bible that here comes Samuel. He's been dead for I don't know how long. Here he comes. Is he a ghost? Some people say, well, that proves they're ghosts. But it's God made that happen, and He doesn't do that very often. You can't go talk to your great-great-grandmother by going to a medium. You know, you've seen people, tell me about my departed grandmother. Have you ever seen that sort of stuff? And you go to a medium, that's all occult, that's all, God doesn't want you to have anything to do with that. It's all phony, except it's also dangerous because it is, Satan uses those kinds of things. But in terms of, it's not good for you. There's this commercial about Pacific mediums, and they're all talking about calling this phone and having a reading. You know, they're going to tell you your future. And these look like educated, smart people, and they're saying, it was the best reading I ever had. And I'm thinking, well, it's just such nonsense. It's just not true. And the reason I know that is because the Bible says that it is. And again, at worst, it's dangerous. But it's certainly not good. So with all that in mind, let's go back to number 9. This is really a more important one. How are devils God's instruments? What does that tell you? It's true. Just because it's in Canterbury Tales doesn't make it true. It's not inspired, but I think he's right about this. How are devils God's instruments? And use Job as an example. Yeah, read.
God uses demons to test people.
They are all under his control, complete control. If there were zombies, they'd be under his control. There aren't. But if there were, God made those bodies. There's nothing like that's happening without God allowing it. The snow tonight, it's not going to happen if God doesn't want it to happen. We can't control it. All right, we'll go to Mallory. So we're down to number 11. One thing I warn you of.
One thing I warn you of, that you will be learning all about our shape in any case hereafter, my dear brother, for you'll not need me, no, nor yet another, to teach you, for your own experience will furnish you sufficient evidence to give a lecture on and declare as well as from a professional chair, better than Virgil when he was alive, or Dante even. Now, if we're to thrive, let's hurry on. I'll keep you company unless a chance that you abandon me.
So where is the Sumner going eventually? Hell. He just said you'll learn about demons and you'll learn about all this stuff you're asking because that's where he's going to be. He's already sold his soul to the devil. Davis.
What said the summoner? Leave you on your own. I am a yeoman, pretty widely known. I'll hold my engagement on the level, though you were Satan's self, the very devil. I keep my word of honor, my brother, as I sworn, and so shall each to other. True brothers we shall be. Bargains made, and both of us can go out on our trade. You take your share, whatever people give, and I'll take mine, and that's our way to live. If either should do better than the other, let him be true and share it with his brother. Should I keep going?
No, that's good. So look at question number 11. What's the bargain they made? What did they shake hands on? Yeah.
That they were brothers.
And so because they're brothers, they share things. So let's just work together. We'll cheat these people, and I'll take some of the money, and you take some of the money. We'll share our stuff together. Jude. 300, top of the page.
Agreed, the devil answered, as he said, and on the word they traveled on their way. Just at the entry of the very village, the summoner had it in his mind the village. They saw a farm cart loaded up with hay. There was a carter driving it the way. Was deep and muddy, and the cart stood still. The carter lashed and shouted with a will. Hey, Brock, up, Scotty. And her mind persists. The foul fiend come to fetch you, flesh and bones, as sure as you were told. Mud, ruts, and rubble. Lord, what a team. I've never known such trouble. The devil would take all, cart, horse, and hay and more.
So you see what just happened? They walked to this village where they were headed, and there was a carter, a guy driving a cart, and the horses were stuck in the mud. And he got really frustrated with them. He was, hitting them and everything, or him. They're two horses. And what did he say? What came out of his mouth? Yeah.
It's like, I'll take all or something.
Yeah, he said, the devil take all. When we say cuss words, but you've all probably done that, we don't really think of what we're saying. If you take that literally, what you're saying. So he says the devil, he might have said something else, but it's the same thing. And now look what the summoner does with that. Ian.
The summoner said, now we shall have some fun, and as if nothing were happening, he drew near and whispered softly in the devil's ear. Listen to that, dear brother, use your head. Didn't you hear what the old carter said? Take it at once, he gave them all to you. His hay, his cart, and his 3 horses too.
What is essentially the summoner doing to the devil? It's the ultimate irony. What does the devil do to us? Yeah. He tempts us, right? So what is the summoner doing to the devil? He's whispering in his ear, like the devil supposed to do. He said, why don't you do? He said, devil, take it. Hear what he said? Why don't you take it? He's tempting the devil. Remember, what's the purpose of the story? What's the purpose of the Friar story? Yeah.
Because he doesn't like the summoners to try to hold them.
So essentially he's saying, what about summoner? Who are they worse than? The devil. That's like the ultimate insult. The devil is nicer than you are. Satan himself is a better person than you are. Anyway, would you pick it up there, Mallory? This is the devil's response.
Don't you believe it, said the king. I heard, but he meant nothing back. Take my word. Go up and ask him if you don't trust me, or else keep quiet for a bit and see. The carter waxed his horses, jerked the rein, and got them moving as they took the string. Up there he shouted, Jesus bless you, love, and all his handiwork. Hey, saints above. Well tugged, old fellow, that's the stuff, gray boy. God save you all my darlings, busy children. That's lifted the old car out of the slope.
One more.
What did I tell you, said the king just now? I ought to make it clear to you, dear brother. The chap said one thing, but he meant another. So let's go on a bit. You mustn't stop. But here, there's nothing I can carry on.
So what did the devil say in response to the summoner? Because he said, the devil take you, and then what did he say? The same carter said, Jesus bless you, love, and all his handiwork, saints above. And so the devil turns to the summoner and says what? Even though he said the devil take you, he didn't mean it. So the devil is showing more mercy to this guy than the summoner is. Because he really didn't, as soon as he said one thing, he turned around and said the opposite. Jesus, I love you, horses, you're just the best. Gracie, how about read one of these?
When they were out of town a little way, the family whispered to the king to say, there's an old devil here, and dear brother, who would rather break my neck? And he said, me. I said, good, too bad. She'll have to pay me 12 pence, she'll be mad. But if she doesn't pay, she'll face the court, and that God knows there's nothing to report. She has no right to step as you did just now, turning your head like a shady eye.
So what, before you go on, what is the summoner going to show the devil? What's he going to show the devil?
A black dress.
What?
Had a black dress.
Yeah, he's gonna, okay, you failed with this horse, this quarter. I'll show you how it's done, devil. I'm gonna go cheat this widow out of some money. Just stand and watch. Learn something, devil. He's gonna teach the devil how to be evil. You wanna read one more?
The summoner rather than the abuse came out to say, although if you've got a friar or a priest inside who's asking what's his story, the way to cry, God says you, sir, what is it? Here said the summoner and
Just slow down a little louder.
on pain of excommunication, see that you are court at everything's name tomorrow morning. There are certain things to answer for, lest he is king of you. He said, have mercy, what am I to say? I can't, I'm ill, I have been many a day. I couldn't walk so far north of the line. Would kill me, there's a good thing in my side. And couldn't you write it down and say for sure, and let me answer to my attorney? The charge I mean, whatever it may be.
Thank you. He's telling the woman, he's lying to her and saying, I've got a summons for you, and you've got to pay it. And she says, I can't, I'm hurt, I'm poor, I'm sick. And he's putting all this pressure on her. So Lauren,
Yes, if you pay it once, he said, let's see, 12 cents to me and I'll secure it like little. I get no profit from it, very little. My master gets the profit and not me. Come off it, I'm in haste, it's got to be. Give me 12 pence, no time to wait, old fairy. 12 pence, said she, O blessed Virgin Mary, help me and keep me clear of sin and dirt. Why, if you were to offer me to earth, I couldn't, there's not 12 pence in my bag. You know I'm nothing but a poor old hag. Show kindness to a miserable wretch.
so she ain't got the money. He says, if you'll pay it to me, I'll let you off the hook. He's blackmailing her. And she says she doesn't have the money. If I excuse you, may the devil fetch me off. Who says that? That's the summoner. He says, if I'm nice to you, if I pardon you, may the devil take me. Who's standing right next to him?
The devil.
The devil. If I excuse you, may the devil fetch me off, though it should break you. Come along, pay up, he said, but I've done nothing wrong. This is her. You pay it once, or by the sweet Saint Anne, he said, I'll carry off your frying pan for debt. The new one, owed me since the day you cuckolded your husband. Cuckold is a word that means cheated on your husband. Did I pay? She didn't. Did I pay for the correction then, or did I not? You lie, she said, on my salvation. What? Correction? Whether as a widow or as a wife, I've never had a summons in my life. I never cuckolded my poor old man. And as for you and for your frying pan, the hairiest devil out of hell, carriest off and take the pan as well. Seeing, he said, may the devil take you, is what he said. Seeing her kneel and curse, the devil spoke. Now, Mother Mabel, is this all a joke? Or do you really mean to say these things? And in other words, she says, may the devil take you, talking to the summoner. And the devil said, do you mean that? Remember, the horse guy didn't mean it. The carter didn't mean it. So the devil's making sure, do you mean that? The devil, she said, can carry him away. I mean, the pan and all, unless he will repent. No, you old cow, I have no such intent, the summoner said. There's no repentance due for anything I've ever had of you. I'll strip you naked, smock and rag and clout. The devil said, what are you cross about, dear brother? You and this pan are mine by right. You yet shall be in hell with me tonight, where you'll know more about our mystery than the doctor of divinity. And on this word, this foul fiend made a swoop and dragged him body and soul to join the troop in hell, where summoners have their special shelf. And God, who is the image of himself, created man, who in the image of himself created man, guide us to Abraham's lap and make this summoner here a decent chap. So the devil takes the summoner to hell with him. And we'll finish it. My lords, I have told you, never fear. Had I had time to save this summoner here, following texts from Christ and Paul and John and many teachers who are dead and gone, of torments that are fit to terrorize your hearts, though tongue of man can scarce devise such things, or in 1,000 winters tell the pain of that accursed house of hell. Watch therefore, and pray Jesus of his grace, to keep out of the accursed place, and ward off Satan, tempting us from glory. Ponder my words, reflect upon my story. The lion's always on the watch for prey, to kill the innocent, if so he may. And so dispose your heart that it withstand the fiend that would enslave you in his hand. He may not tempt you, though, above your might, for Christ will be your champion and your knight. And summoners, flee the sins that so beset you, and learn repentance. Ere the devil get you. We've got 2 minutes. Look at number 12. What fun did the summoner urge the devil to have with the man in the cart? Do you know the answer to that? We did answer it. What, Mallory?
To take his cart and his horse and his
And what happened? In other words, he was tempting the devil, and of course the devil didn't buy that. Number 13. Explain what happened with the summoner, the old woman, and the devil. Did you follow that? That the old woman told the summoner to, may the devil take you, because the summoner was trying to cheat her out of lying about her, cheat her out of her last bit of money. And the devil, of course, took the summoner with him to hell. And finally, what lessons to his listeners and the summoners does the friar derive from this tale? This is chiefly one, and we can finish on this. Yes.
Then he told the summoners to repent before they're taken out.
And particularly, and add this, particularly pray for protection from the devil who wants your soul. What are the last words of the Lord's Prayer? It's not the exact last words, but at the very end of the Lord's Prayer, what does Jesus say? The Lord, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, we forgive us who trespass against us. And at the end he says, and keep us from evil, deliver us from evil. That's really the evil one. So the moral of the story is, pray that God will protect you from the devil. Before you go, here is a review sheet in case I don't see you tomorrow. This would be due Monday, so you can get started on it.
Wednesday through Monday.
Yes.
Will it be moved back if we don't have school?
Wow. Tomorrow?
It's like snows and stuff.
Yeah, I know. That's why you're taking it home. So you could still do it even if we're not here. Now, the test is Wednesday. I might have to mess with that. All right. Thank you for waiting, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Again, this will be due on Monday.